Let me begin with a tension many people feel when religion and politics enter the same conversation. If people believe their faith is true, should they try to impose it through government power? It is an understandable question. But historically, one of the most important Christian contributions to Western civilization has been something surprisingly simple: the defense of freedom of conscience. That idea did not appear overnight. It developed slowly through centuries of theological reflection and historical experience. Early Christians lived under governments that often tried to control religious belief. Many of them concluded that genuine faith cannot be forced. A coerced confession is not faith at all. Later, during the Reformation, religious conflict across Europe revealed the dangers of governments attempting to dictate belief. Out of that painful history came a deeper conviction among many Christians that faith must remain voluntary. Some of the strongest voices defending this principle were Baptists. In the 17th and 18th centuries, Baptist leaders argued that the state should never compel religious belief. They insisted that every person must be free to seek truth according to conscience. This conviction traveled with them into the American colonies. By the time the First Amendment was written, many believers supported a simple but powerful idea: the government should neither establish a national church nor interfere with the free exercise of religion. In other words, faith must remain free. This principle protects everyone. It protects Christians, but it also protects Jews, Muslims, atheists, and anyone else seeking truth according to their conscience. Why would Christians defend that freedom for others? Because the gospel itself is an invitation, not a command enforced by the state. In the book of Revelation, Christ says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock." He does not break the door down. Faith begins with persuasion, not coercion. There is also a practical reason. When Christians defend freedom of conscience universally, they create a society where religious liberty becomes a shared value rather than a privilege granted to one group. That kind of culture tends to protect believers far better than systems built on control. Of course, defending freedom of conscience does not mean abandoning moral conviction. Citizens will always bring their deepest beliefs into public life. That is part of democracy. But there is an important difference between arguing for moral principles and forcing belief itself. Christian faith has historically thrived most when it relied on persuasion, service, and witness rather than political power. And that might be an important lesson for our own moment. In a world where religious diversity is increasing and political tensions are rising, the defense of freedom of conscience may be one of the most important contributions Christians can make to a healthy society. Not because it weakens faith, but because it reflects the very nature of the gospel itself.